Well, this is the last class dealing with all sorts of different types of psychotherapies. And while I'm going to talk about group therapies or group assistance, please know that there's so many more psychotherapies that are available for you. And this is just a beginning of your ability to research. Group psychotherapies can occur in informal such groups. 12-step is a group type of therapy process. You can also go to a group such as meetup.com and find individuals that are coping with same types of abuses that you went through. You might find victims of violent crimes having groups that specifically are dealing with the violent crimes you specifically dealt with. If you were part of a horrible situation that involved a lot of people, there might be specific groups that specifically are set up for a large group of you that has gone through the same experience. Also, group therapy is sometimes organized with a psychologist where they talk about their abuse and trauma, and they do different types of psychotherapeutic group events. So they might include biofeedback, neurobiofeedback, mindfulness practices, meditation, some groups like kind of hypnotherapeutic process, neurolinguistic programming, even in-depth discussion. Primarily, though, what happens in these groups is there's a feeling of camaraderie and there's a feeling of commonality. You feel like other people understand you because they're going through the same things that you're going through as well. So that can be really helpful. Now, there's a drawback I find in groups as well. Sometimes the group members don't want anybody to graduate from the group and get better. And the thing is that you do get better, where you no longer want to identify with the complications of your abuse and trauma. Yes, they occurred, but now your life is so much fuller, so much more vital, so much more active, and means so many different things that are way beyond the abuse and trauma. So you know that you're going to graduate from that group, and there may be individuals that don't want you to graduate. Secondly, sometimes when you're with a group of people, it reactivates and re-triggers things inside of you that actually you don't need re-triggered because they're not yours, and you might even over-identify or over-empathize with other people going through things. In fact, people who have been abused and traumatized often have kind of a it's like you might think of your shield as being more of a net, where you almost like gather in the pain of others, and then it kind of becomes yours, as opposed to, this is your pain, I care deeply for you, I care about you, but it's not my pain. I have this capacity to segregate me from you, not so that I don't care, but that I don't become you. I don't own your pain. And in these groups, sometimes people forget to not own the pain of other people. In these groups, you also have other people's issues that are going to need a different type of work than you do, because you're uniquely you and they're uniquely them. And so these groups may not match you at all moments, or they may be helpful because you get and you reap something in that moment that's yours, but the rest of it isn't yours. But that requires you to be discerning for yourself in that context. So I find group therapy or group situations that are very collective around these type of experiences can be helpful, but they also have their complications. And in fact, that's something I want to say about all these therapies. Not all these therapies work for everybody, right? That's why there's a variety. Some work really well with other people and really badly for other people. It also depends on the therapist and how quality training and background and experience they have in doing a particular type of therapy. For example, someone who's barely done EMDR will not do it the same way as someone that just does it as part of their practice, is well trained. So it's someone that does hypnosis ever so often is very different than someone who's a master hypnotherapist. So you do know that there's a qualitative difference because there's a quantitative experience as well. So you have to be discerning. And here's the bottom line. That's the summary of all of this discussion. Well, yet again, you have to be the most powerful person in your life. You have to be the most influential person in your life by making decisions that match you to the best of your ability. And nowadays, we can really research. We can research the people we're working with. We can interview them on the phone or online. We can understand. I know that I have so many YouTubes out there. You probably understand a lot of things about me before you even walk in my office. This whole class helps you understand more about me. So what that means is that you can research your therapists, and I would suggest you do so. Interview them, see what they are like. And also be aware, you're not going to click with every personality, and they're not going to necessarily click with you either. So you want to find a good enough match, a good enough click, both in terms of how you want them to work you, your style of working through things, as well as to realize that maybe this individual may not always match you because they actually have to move you forward. Because being matched is really nice, but it is not always the goal of therapy. The idea is that you want to work through the impact of the abuse and trauma so that as you reintegrate, as you restructure, as you change and metamorphose, as you evolve, that you become this new person over here that's thriving as fully as is your potential possibility. And that's what you want the focus to be. You will graduate from recovering from abuse and trauma. You may have to go back and revisit ever so often when you've been re-triggered because some other layer has been revealed or it's been reconfigured or something has happened that is another trigger for abuse and trauma, and you go back and you go into visiting the process of recovery. But recovery is not something you have to live in for the rest of your life. Maybe visit, but not live in it. So you also want to make sure that the therapist that you're with understands how to help you graduate into this new you that you're going to be. You may not be able to see that new you. You may not be able to imagine that new you. You may not be able to feel that new you. But you want your therapist to be able to have some sense of not only what your new you will be like, but how to shift you there. My bottom line is this. If I'm going to go through a complicated hike full of devil's crags and so forth and so on, and it's so complicated, I need a trail leader. I want to make sure that trail leader isn't doing the trail for the first time, right? Because then they're not any better than me. I want to make sure that they're well equipped and they understand equipment for trail hiking and rock climbing and overnight camping, so forth and so on, in a way that's better than I am. Otherwise, I might as well do it myself. I want to make sure that the person that's on the trail with me, leading me on that trail, has done it many, 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 many times. And they know where it's very dangerous, and they know how to navigate those dangerous moments, and they know where it's easy to push someone through and know how to push someone through the process. So that's why I really do recommend you interview therapists that are there to help you to understand what their background is, their understanding is, and maybe what their therapeutic modalities are as well. And in these classes, I've given you kind of a feel for different types of approaches, and you might be able to say, you know what, I like that one, I want to look for that. But I think it's even better when you have a therapist that knows how to do that type of therapy, but also has a very large auto mechanic shop of lots of tools, lots of equipment, and lots of parts. And they've known how to put cars together for a very long time. And that's my metaphor on therapy. Okay, I'll see you in the next class, or actually the next course. And I'm really, really glad that you checked in with us so that you can make excellent choices for yourself moving forward as your most empowered and influential person in your life.